There's a discrepancy here. This is precisely why the NFL is abuzz right now. On one side, you have fans dissecting a stat sheet, debating percentages, interceptions, and whether a rookie has truly earned his spot. Meanwhile, there's something much more revealing unfolding behind the curtain. Subtle, genuine, and utterly authentic. The chatter online has been deafening, but the locker room has been echoing a completely different sentiment in recent days. Shedeur Sanders is at the heart of a discussion that seems all too familiar, yet carries a weight that feels more significant this time around. Analysts highlight the statistics. The focus is on the games that have been played. Instead, they focus on those who fell short. At first glance, it seems pretty persuasive. However, genuine football decisions are not determined in the comment sections. They're crafted in spaces where respect holds greater significance than the stories being told. This is precisely what creates such an uneasy atmosphere for many individuals. The criticism indicates that Shedeur may have been propelled by excessive hype. The insights emerging from the Pro Bowl tell a vastly different story. A situation where seasoned players recognize him as more than just a temporary solution. A place where he is acknowledged and valued, not overlooked or merely accepted. A place where he feels embraced. That distinction is crucial, as players possess insights that fans simply aren't privy to. They recognize the effort put into getting ready. They sense a presence. They acknowledge a natural confidence that flows effortlessly. That kind of reaction is organic and can't be forced, particularly in a setting packed with seasoned pros who have no incentive to go along with it. The emergence of this respect is truly fascinating. It wasn't delivered through press releases or polished highlight reels. It appeared in the behind-the-scenes moments. Who stepped forward first? Who sparked the conversation? And who remained nearby without a camera prompting them to do so? And that's where this narrative begins to take a turn. This goes beyond merely making a Pro Bowl appearance. It's all about how quickly perception can shatter when it meets the hard truths of reality. It's fascinating to see how swiftly a story can come apart when those who are immersed in the game react in ways that differ from the spectators observing from afar. When players around the league begin to regard a rookie as someone not to be underestimated, or, even more telling, someone they hesitate to confront, it prompts a deeper inquiry. It's not about his place in the league, it's about the insights that others are overlooking. Once you catch a glimpse, it's etched in your mind forever. The backlash was swift, and it was intense. Once the news hit, the same talking points dominated every timeline. The performance fell short of expectations. The statistics just didn't back it up. Some quarterbacks posted superior stats yet still missed out on the recognition. For many fans, the ending seemed clear-cut. However, that interpretation of the narrative is merely superficial. The reality is that the outrage often seems to be quite selective. The Pro Bowl hasn't truly been a merit-based accolade in quite some time. However, it appears that the frustration intensifies when specific names come into play. When veterans choose to sit out or when substitutes come in unnoticed, it hardly raises an eyebrow. When a rookie bearing a prominent last name gets the call, it feels like the entire system has been thrown into disarray. The significance of that contradiction cannot be overlooked. Shedeur's season is boiled down to a few key stats, devoid of any context, and weaponized against him. The sacks he endured, the pressure he navigated, and the undeniable shift in the team's dynamics when he was on the field. None of that aligns perfectly with the catchy headline, so it often gets overlooked. And this is the aspect that many critics seem reluctant to address. The criticism didn't originate from the events at the Pro Bowl. The origins trace back much earlier. This was merely the ignition. The struggle, the uncertainty, the pushback against his self-assurance. The momentum has been growing. This moment provided everyone with the perfect opportunity to let it all out in one go. While the online debates raged on, the league remained calm and collected. No statements were being issued by the coaches. Players weren't stacking up. No need for any justification here. In a surprising turn of events, something else unfolded. Within the Pro Bowl atmosphere, far from the microphones and the usual hot takes, the response was strikingly different. No hesitation whatsoever. No uncomfortable gap. No feeling that he didn't belong. The players on the field didn't see him as someone who just got lucky or found a way in through a loophole. The gap between public outrage and private response is where this narrative begins to take a captivating turn. When fans and players witness the same moment, yet draw completely different conclusions, it often indicates that one side lacks essential information. What emerged next made that gap undeniable. When you set aside the feelings, the mechanics reveal a completely different narrative. The Pro Bowl isn't just a shiny prize awarded based on buzz or fan excitement. It's a complex journey, and many only focus on it when the results don't meet their expectations. What unfolds when playoff teams make their move and elite quarterbacks step into the spotlight? Pro Bowl positions become available. That's totally expected. It's a yearly occurrence. With a Super Bowl appearance at stake, Drake May's opportunity was off the table. The league stuck to its game plan from that point on. It adhered to the list. This is the crucial detail that continues to be overlooked. Fan voting isn't the main factor. It has never been that way. Most of the responsibility lies with the coaches and players, the individuals responsible for crafting game strategies, the individuals who face off against quarterbacks every Sunday. Those who experience pressure don't just discuss it, they live it. That's significant. When Deion Sanders tackled the criticism, he sidestepped the stats and rankings debate. He highlighted an issue that's even more unsettling for the naysayers. This wasn't about seeking attention. This wasn't a victory on social media. A sufficient number of coaches and players endorsed his name to propel him ahead. Not everyone viewed him as flawless, though. It indicates that a significant number of individuals within the league recognized its worth. And then there's the context that everyone overlooks. Trevor Lawrence was the next big thing. Sources indicate that he turned it down. That's pretty common too. Veterans consistently showcase their skills. Once that occurs, the call shifts again subtly according to procedure. No drama involved. The idea that he slipped in quietly just doesn't stand up anymore, as there was nothing about this process that felt hurried or compromised. It played out just as it was intended to. This time, however, the outcome left many feeling uneasy. That unease reveals more about our expectations than it does about fairness. However, this is where the narrative takes an intriguing twist. Even if you accept the circumstances surrounding the call, it still leaves us questioning what unfolded afterward. Choosing is one aspect. Another aspect is reception. When the footage dropped, it was obvious this wasn't just a friendly invite. It was a whole different experience. The real turning point in the discussion wasn't a quote or a stat adjustment. It was a video, authentic, unfiltered, and definitely not intended for a press release. Exclusive footage that many outlets missed out on and were unable to obtain. Unexpectedly, well-off media released behind-the-scenes Pro Bowl clips that revealed something surprising. Forget staged interviews and highlight reels. This is about genuine moments within the facility, where players are simply being themselves, away from the spotlight of fans and cameras. What immediately caught my attention was the treatment of Shedeur Sanders. This was not a courteous recognition. This wasn't just rookies exchanging quick daps out of a sense of duty. First to approach him were the seasoned Pro Bowlers. They drew him into discussions. They lingered around him longer than necessary. Such behavior is not a mere coincidence, and it certainly doesn't occur for someone who lacks the respect of the room. That's what left fans in disbelief, especially those who pay close attention, as there were numerous well-known stars present in that arena. Star players, multiple Pro Bowl selections. Yet the vibe surrounding Shedeur felt distinct. Players were drawn to him, not pushed away. They achieved it organically, without the pressure of cameras capturing the moment. That kind of reception is something you can't just create, particularly in a locker room packed with seasoned professionals who have witnessed every kind of hype fade away. This is the moment when the online story began to unravel. If the critique held any weight, you'd anticipate some separation. One might anticipate doubt, perhaps even a hint of aloofness. What emerged was a sense of familiarity, a comfort level, and a respect that felt hard-earned rather than simply given. As the footage continued to roll, it became increasingly difficult to overlook, as it wasn't just a single clip or a solitary interaction. The same pattern repeated itself time and time again. This brings up a rather awkward question. If the players on the field aren't responding the same way fans do, Who really has a better grasp of the reality? Once that question is raised, the discussion shifts away from whether he truly belongs. It begins with what those players are identifying right from the start. They're not just making assumptions, they're reacting to what they observe right in front of them. It's time to have a real talk. Respect in the NFL isn't given based on last names, social media hype, or where a player was drafted. In most cases, those factors tend to play against you. In that space, respect is gained by actions, not by reputation. When veterans begin to treat a rookie as an equal, it's a clear indication. The footage didn't showcase anything spectacular. It was understated. The way discussions hung in the air. The intensity of those eyes, unwavering as he spoke. The manner in which players paid attention rather than speaking over him. The nuances are far more significant than any stat line, as they reveal how a player conducts himself once the game is over. Shedeur navigated the building with the confidence of someone who belonged there. He moved with the determination of someone ready to put in the effort. Absolutely confident, completely at ease, and devoid of any need to seek approval. That level of confidence resonates differently with players who have spent enough time in the league to detect insecurity from a distance. That's the hidden side that many fans miss out on. Players notice the level of preparation, how swiftly someone takes in information, and whether a quarterback poses the right questions or conceals themselves behind bravado. Insiders say those traits emerge quickly, often within just a few minutes. The rookie label just didn't hold up in that environment. He wasn't being viewed as a project or a short-term solution. They were deep in conversation, analyzing the game, connecting as if he had already been welcomed into the brotherhood.
That doesn't mean he's made it yet. It signifies that he's on board. Gaining acceptance at that level is no small feat. Veterans safeguard the culture, fully aware of just how delicate locker rooms can be. If they failed to witness something genuine, the gap would be unmistakable. What emerged was a sense of openness. This aspect contributes to the backlash feeling out of touch. The discussions happening online suggest that players are either being courteous or just going with the flow. However, anyone familiar with the atmosphere of professional locker rooms understands that politeness doesn't manifest in that way. Indifference prevails. What we're witnessing is quite the contrary. When a significant number of players react in the same manner, it transcends mere coincidence. It transforms into valuable information, prompting a much larger inquiry. The public narrative consistently overlooks this pattern completely. This is the gap that keeps this discussion going in circles. Fans are debating from the periphery. Players are responding from within, and those two viewpoints rarely align. The discourse surrounding the game often relies on fleeting moments, final scores, draft evaluations, and a handful of clips taken out of context. Narratives can take shape rapidly, but that speed also opens the door to distortion. Within the league, assessments operate on a different level. These narratives are intricate, building upon one another, and shaped by factors that often go unseen on screen. That's why moments like this hold more significance than many people understand. Shedeur's appearance at the Pro Bowl was more than just a mere formality. It turned into an unexpected evaluation of his performance in high-stakes situations. Fresh talent, vibrant characters, and lofty ambitions. Rather than retreating or trying too hard, he seamlessly integrated into the mix. You can't pretend that for 25 minutes of footage. This is also where the argument about popularity contests starts to crumble. Being popular doesn't guarantee you this level of respect from seasoned veterans who have no incentive to play nice. These are the players who have witnessed the rise and fall of hyped prospects over the years. When something seems amiss, they subtly create space right away. That didn't take place here. What occurred instead was affirmation via actions, through engagement, and through the lack of opposition. That's frequently the most unmistakable indication out there. Players can express their thoughts without the need for press conferences. It's evident in their interactions and the players they choose to overlook. The annoying aspect for critics is that this type of evidence doesn't align perfectly with their arguments. This isn't something you can just capture and brush off without a second thought. It compels a reevaluation, and not everyone is ready to embrace that challenge. However, the league is shifting focus as fans argue about the significance of the Pro Bowl. Teams are concentrating on a different matter altogether.
Who can stride into a high-pressure environment and instantly fit in without making a fuss? Who can capture attention while maintaining their concentration? Who really has to demand respect? Once a quarterback ticks those boxes, the dialogue subtly but firmly transitions. This leads us to the broader perspective, focusing less on a single event and more on the direction things are moving toward next. This is the moment when all the pieces come together. The debate surrounding the Pro Bowl, the criticism it faced, the highlights captured, and the reactions from players. Everything leads to the same unsettling truth. The league has clearly advanced beyond the discussions that fans are still engaged in. The Pro Bowl has lost its status as a true benchmark. It's a crucial moment, a test of clarity, a high-stakes atmosphere. And for some players, it transforms into something completely different. A real-time showcase of their ability to perform under constant scrutiny. This is what it has become for Shedeur. It wasn't due to any pressure. It was simply the right moment that came to him. He stepped into a realm packed with seasoned veterans who have navigated through hype cycles, media storms, and the intricacies of locker room politics. Rather than being seen as a short-term visitor, he was regarded as someone who's here to stay. It's not just about a single week of football. It's all about the projection. The significance of the Browns' return home cannot be overstated. Sources indicate that the team has been strategically positioning various elements, including coaching hires and developmental infrastructure, which points to a clear focus on long-term planning. Simple, straightforward, and perfectly in sync. Alignment typically comes after belief. Success is not guaranteed by any of this. The league is unforgiving, and any potential is quickly laid bare. However, what it reveals is this. Within the walls of NFL facilities, the dialogue surrounding Shedeur contrasts sharply with the chatter taking place in the digital realm. Fans continue to debate whether he truly deserves this moment. Players are curious about his performance as he enters his third year. The gap is crucial since the NFL doesn't pause for agreement. It places its bets early, keeps a keen eye on the action, and makes the necessary adjustments. The current signals clearly indicate a need for patience, investment, and curiosity, rather than outright dismissal. This brings us to the key point. This was never about shutting down dissenters. It was all about uncovering who truly holds significance in the evaluation process. Deion Sanders came up short in the debate. He held his ground without responding. He didn't seek validation. He arrived, flowed effortlessly, and allowed the surroundings to react to his presence. It did so clearly, consistently, and without a moment's hesitation. The footage didn't demonstrate that he's a complete player yet. It demonstrated something even more significant. He fits in spaces where respect is swiftly gained and just as swiftly lost. He can manage attention without seeking it out. He doesn't have to introduce himself to gain recognition. The uproar will eventually subside. It never fails to do so. Statistics are bound to evolve. The stories will change. Yet, instances like this resonate within the league much longer than fans might think. When players reveal their true emotions, unscripted and unfiltered, that's the most authentic glimpse into the NFL we can ever get. Now that the truth is out, the only question remaining isn't about Shedeur's place in the league. It's about the time it takes for the competition to close the gap.